Yes, it is in Toronto. But it would be very hard for me to argue that this roster isn't better than the previous rosters, and that Super Ploot coming in and Ruster parting ways was not a very good move. Now, I think Ube in for crew is still debatable, especially with Zarya coming back, but they already have Spree. So I think maybe having Spree, that was part of the reason why he left, is that Ube has a different hero pool than Crew, and Crew has a similar best hero as another player that is one of their best heroes, being Zarya. So that move makes sense too. I think they have made the right changes.
You have to wonder about personality meshes at some level too, because Crew's been on a lot of different rosters, and that always ends up raising some questions in my mind. Can he not get along with people, things like that. He's been all over the place since the beginning of Overwatch. So it does look like this Luminosity roster has been together for a little bit, has looked really good. I expect him to continue to improve. I will be pretty stunned if Hammers takes a game off him, but like you said, they're an unknown entity. They could come out with almost anything here, JCap.
Yeah, I feel like this is their real opportunity to kind of show up, because you can kind of read into Luminosity with the way they've been playing the past couple weeks in NGE. You can assume they're going to be going for a quad tank setup, which in fact we're going to be seeing. So they have the chance to maybe switch in like a Tracer if you can feel confident enough to work around Uba on his Roadhog, and then pair with Bull on the Zarya to make some big plays happen, but we'll see how it breaks down.
Yeah, I think both teams are probably just feeling each other out right now, running these quad tanks into each other. It's just going to be the early on battle. Like, really nice hook comes out on Jake early. Hadan finishes him off.
Yeah, Super actually hit a really good charge directly on Super right away, just to kind of get a positional advantage, not to mention pushing them completely away by himself. ISO just showing the rest of the team out of this one, and Avacity is hooked in right away, so already just working the picks, working the positional advantage, and so far we're going to see LG with the early lead.
A pretty big mistake there from Super at the end, charging in, already in a 6v4, gets himself way out of position. He's cleaned up. That's going to signal retreat for the remainder of his team as Hammer Esports tries to gather it back together. No roster changes thus far. I think you'll see the ultimate phase of the game at least happen once before anyone looks at switching things up, and LG probably pretty happy with what they have going on right now.
Oh, Super is just not having a chance to do any control, and Super gets the charge off, which is really big, because he had his Earth Shatter available and ready to go, and with Spree chiming on full, we have seen finally them get on top of the point and actually contest it. They've actually taken the point here away from Luminosity.
That's a small mistake, I think, from Luminosity. It's not going to punish them too bad, only give up 7% there. They did have to give up a lot of positional advantage to sneak those tanks in around back to be able to get that point out from under the nose. But, you know, little small things here and there. A small victory, I suppose you can count it for Hammer Esports. Ultimate phase of the game incoming. It's going to be a lot to see who can get the better Earth Shatter here, Jason.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. It comes down to who's going to break that shield the quickest, or who's going to be more confident, because both Reinhardt's been going ham against each other, and you already see Luminosity throwing out three big ults instead of the ground surge, the nano boost, and the whole hog just completely wipes him out here. So now, I mean, that's an attack you're assuming you're going to lose, right? If you're if it's attacking again. You didn't have the ult advantage. Coming into this one now, you have to hope that Super Ploot can block this Earth Shot out of Super, prevent it from having like any real combo, unless Bull can somehow get his Graviton up.
I do like this, though. I think they're going to finally take a different angle. At some point, you just can't keep running your face through that doorway. They do send D.Va there so she can get a little bit of positional advantage, but now finally fighting in some open space. Self-destruct incoming does miss. Everyone's able to back out there, and Flute goes down very early. Rob gives his life for it. Another huge Earth Shatter comes out. This could be Hammer's fight.
Yeah, that's what you needed to see. Train picks himself up a double. He gets the D-suit on the ice belt, and this ideally should be the point being captured over for Hammer Esports. And you have to look at Super versus Super Fluke. It's really hard to kind of go about this full cost. One Super, one Fluke, right? They've been charging other non-stop left to right, constantly hitting these charges, and Fluke just went a little bit too aggressive on that last attack.
They did end up burning a couple ults there late, did Hammers Esports, to make sure that they kept this point. They really had the ult economy in their favor there, and I'm surprised they actually used ults to clean up the remainder of that fight. As it was, they had about like 4 up, or 3 that they could have used for the next engagement. Had to use a couple just to make sure they were going to clean up that point. Probably a bit of a mistake, maybe some nerves getting to them, but now they are in full control. Super about to have his Earth Shatter yet again. The cupboard is barren for Luminosity Gaming.
I think Uba is just looking for a chance to hit a hook. He's looking for a chance to make something happen, as I believe Train just went really deep into the back line. Ursha even come in as well into Uba just to get him knocked down, and Rob's picking up an early kill on the ice belt.
Well, they do take out Super there. He gave his life for that charge, but now the cleanup crew is in full effect. They will chase down a couple more kills. They are looking for a lot more here. Get the hook, chase down Ube. That is a staggered death there for them. They would be better served getting out now. They will retreat onto it, and it's looking like we're about to equalize a little bit here. Of course, ult economy shifting back in favor of Luminosity here. Is there anything Luminosity maybe needs to change here, or just keep running 4 tanks, you think?
I think it's perfectly fine just to keep going at this. The problem is they're not losing in necessarily composition. They're losing when it comes down to like who's making that first aggression, who's making that first play happen. It's coming down to who can charge who in this situation. And this position they're at on this sideway is so dangerous. If he gets moved off, it'll be the death view. I think Goop already went down to the vast.
Well, Jake has thrown out his whole hog. He has had a couple really nice whole hogs so far today. Ends up with a trifecta there for them. They are in full advantage of this point right now. In control. Train does have a self-destruct. Maybe do it just to zone out. Only 7% left for them to close out this map. It's going to be hard for LG to even get back here.
Yeah, Ube, he switched over to the Tracer. He's just going to touch the point here just to make sure they can get into overtime. But in the midst of this, he's allowed the rest of his team to get around the back here and get on top of the point as well.
Graviton will come in and everyone knocked down with an enormous Earth Shatter from Superflock. He has got the Ana boost on him. He's looking to clean up the remainder of it. That Earth Shatter might have saved Luminosity the game. Jake is going to take a short dive off a long cliff. He will reset as well. Last fight of the first stage here incoming.
So Icebelt, he's got his self-destruct. If he times it correctly, he can cause a massive wrench in this machine that's going to be Hammer Esports. They're going to try to come out. They're going to have to go around the side, and I think, smartly enough, Luminosity's just going to back away. They're going to take the fight head-to-head. Obviously not chase him around the corner, force this overtime in the point.
These charges have been going back and forth. Neither tank hits it there, but that is a huge couple opening kills for Luminosity. It is down to it. A Vast gets pushed against the wall. Train goes for a boop, looking for style points. Style points do not win you matches. He gets D-maxed off the cliff. Luminosity takes the first stage in a nail biter.
Now, I really got to give some credit to the Hedon here and the way he's been playing Ana so far on that initial map. He not only was position himself in a way it's really hard to get to him, but when we saw Luminosity rush short towards the outside, try to go out towards the cliff, and actually eventually lose that fight, he actually put on the high ground for the most part, just so he could really much healing. The problem is the rest of the team kind of, out-positioned him, so it didn't really help in the end. But honestly, it just kind of shows the mindset of this Zenyatta player, right, that we've been talking about. The fact that, well, Ana has a lot more escapes than Zenyatta will, but you have to play safe nonetheless.
Yeah. Well, we do wish granted here, as Ube will show us some flashes of Pharah. I think mostly the stage is dictating that. One of the better stages of all the control maps to play a Pharah on, using the verticality of the tower for cover. Knocking people off the edge is always fun. We'll see what he can get done on the Pharah. Otherwise, that compositions remain the same.
Yeah, this actually kind of worries me. This is something I've seen within Hammer Esports. They don't really have the ability to flex too many players to too many different things. Like, they have a Hog player and a D.Va player that both play Soldier and both play Tracer, but you kind of need both to go up against this composition. But, just as I speak about that, doesn't seem that Luminosity's been able to do really anything, as they lost quite a few people already.
I feel they're really prioritizing taking down Superflock. He's put himself in position to get bio-grenaded a couple times, and if you raise that shield and the Ana sees you, you are going to be eating that grenade, then there's almost nothing you can do on the retreat. They're getting back in here underpowered, but Ube changes the fight around a little bit, takes on a Vast early. Super's still got this nano boost on him, gets charged onto the point. All alone, though, is Superflock. He might be playing too aggressive, Jason.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, you can't really kind of ditch your backline. Now you're seeing Hedon just kind of be focused out by Train. Just isn't an opportunity to really heal too much. But somehow he's actually able to stay alive with the help of Mineral, able to help heal him and also speed him around the corner. But Uba getting hooked in. Oh, we know how that's going to go. That's going to be the death of him. And that is going to be finally the point maintained, I guess we should say, for Hammer Esports.
Yeah, 2 supports and a Pharah is not going to beat the 3 tanks and a support on the point. That's exactly the matchup that they ended up having. So far, it has been all Hammer Esports on this stage. Ube's getting some kills, but it does not seem to be enough. But I really do think the problem right now is they are not playing with Reinhardt. He is just not with his team most of the time. Superflock dying way too early in a lot of these engagements.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Pluke being too aggressive or if his team not kind of capitalizing going with him. Because he's hitting the charges, right? The problem is there's no follow-up and there's no protection from him. When I was in the Nano Boost and the Ground Surge and the Bronze, the Nano Boost getting close from my Train who runs directly into him, trying to make him kill himself. The self-destruct going off, not going to kill a single person, but nonetheless, it's going to be Hammer Esports maintaining this.
That's just a really nice play by Train on that D.Va, and he might be a player to look out for. As we've talked about part-time D.Vas and full-time D.Vas, he might be one of those full-timers as Jake on the cleanup crew takes down 4, but that is a top-level play to completely shut down the barrage, trying to make her suicide. Actually did not end up happening, but nice plays by Train so far. He's done a lot of really great things for them as far as engaging and changing around the positioning as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing Reinhardt most of the season. You can kind of see how much of a pain it is to play him when you don't have a Roadhog on your side and they have one on theirs. Because Fluke's been just constant pressure with the shields non-stop, and again, Nanabu's coming in. The Earthshatter's actually gonna miss, but the counter Earthshatter comes in and catches on the two.
Fluke putting together a decent highlight now, but that is Super who got the better part of it. Here comes the self-destruct, gets nothing in there. This kill feed has been all in favor of Hammer this entire game.
Yeah, you have to kind of wonder, like, Luminosity, did they stick that fair a little bit too long here? Fluke getting a little bit aggressive, which is totally fine because he did have the backup of Uva, but it seemed like the focus was maybe not there. Uva will be able to contest the point, I would imagine, just a few seconds, but there's no backup for him. There's not going to be anyone else for Luminosity there, and that's going to be it.
It's hard to think that Farah didn't play a part in that, given that the previous stage was 99-99, this one completely one-sided. Farah got a couple kills here and there, maybe it wasn't enough, and just having a Farah there kind of changes the style in which you play. Your front line is going to be a little weaker, so some of those charges a little more exposed and things like that. There are a couple fights Super Fluke just got taken down immediately, and it's never really just the Reinhardt's fault, but they're just not playing with the same intent, I think.
And I think it's just really risky to run a Pharah in that map if you're not going to be really aggressive coming across that bridge, because you kind of need that positional advantage to allow Pharah to have those knockoffs, at least to have that threat of a knockoff, right? So you force the team to play a little bit safer, and you saw Hammer Esports respond to that by actually playing really careful. We didn't see Jake go for a single hook across the gap to try to get an instant kill into someone. He was playing back, playing with his team, because he knew if he gets caught and he gets taken out like that, that can cost him a point. So really well done by Hammer Esports.
It's a really, really good point that Farah is so much better once you actually have control of the point. So hard to push into it, but hard to actually gain that advantage. They will knock into each other up top, and again, it is Super getting the better half of that fight against Block, as that is a quick 4-kill against Luminosity. What is going on here, Jason?
I think they're just getting wrecked here. I think they're just getting a little bit outplayed in this situation. I mean, they're running exactly the same comps. Fluke and Super again charge each other directly, but again Super had the position. Like, they were in their face a little bit quicker, and I think maybe, just maybe, the aggression that they're throwing out on them when it comes to these actual skirmishes, these actual bouts, is catching them off the jump start.
Well, look at this. Super already has his Earthshatter up, and Block only at 30% just now. There's also going to be a Nano soon, but they have to be careful, maybe a little too far out, as that is a very quick kill onto Jake. Their Roadhog now down. Super looking to line something up here. There goes the Earthshatter, does not grab anyone. He takes a nap during this. Another nice play from Rob, though. Does it end up sleeping Icefeld? Can they bring this back? Very brawly, very back and forth, but Icefeld, the only one really contesting the point right now, needs to get it with his team.
And smartly enough, Luminosity just gonna back away, wait for everyone to actually regroup here, just so they can push back into the point here. They're gonna have ult advantage. They do have heat on with the Nanobus available. The problem is who's gonna use it onto, and it's gonna be on the spree onto the Starion for the back line. So that's gonna be an easy ground surge, and Jake with anti-healing on him is not gonna have a chance. Finally, Luminosity will strike back.
Nice graviton there. Of course, everyone got hit with the bio nade, so Hidan on point with that. They will be able to swing this point back for the first time in a very long time. About 50% on the side of Hammer Esports, as the next engagement will be coming with the advantage for Luminosity. They need to be careful to not make the same mistake that Hammer did and go a little too far forward. It's fine to hold here, but you have to know when to back out as well.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to be a little bit too aggressive here and get caught out after they finally been able to stabilize the game. And Lumi's just going to throw out the whole hog. Spree getting hooked in towards the side, but it'll be fine even with Train just attacking them non-stop. And again, there's zoning potential out of that Eagle, just able to keep the rest of Hammer Esports away, so Ube can pick himself up 2 kills.
Well, Ube on the Roadhog has been a lot better than Ube on the Farah this stage at the very least. Picks himself a couple of kills there. It gives them so much more bodying and more positioning, those giant health pools. It helps the Ana out, helps a lot of people out. However, this next fight should be Hammer's if not everything goes wrong, because they have a giant ultimate advantage.
And look at this though, Spree. He always has his Graviton surge up yet again. That just kind of shows the focus around him in general. It's been onto Luminosity just to keep him alive, keep his energy up, and there's a Graviton surge coming through, but the kills, I'm not really seeing a Fire Grenade come in. There's nothing really stopping it. It looks like it was mitigated by Fluke. And now Hook's coming out of Uba again, takes on the Vast.
Yeah, they did miss out the grenade. That is Super just swinging the hammer, though, on the point. Grabs a couple kills. Cleanup crew comes in as Jake grabs himself one as well. It is a DMEC Diva Icefeld who's going to be taking the jump off the edge. Hammer Esports will reclaim that, but that was a fight we expected them to take, yes, because they had to have a lot of ultimates there. They did end up burning 3, so the economy is going to flip back in favor of Luminosity now, and now it's up to Spree. Can Spree's Graviton have the same effect?
Not to mention Fluke with the Earthshatter can be extremely huge here if they can just work down the shield on a Super. He's being so aggressive. Again, he charges in, the Self-Destruct comes in, the ground in the back, but where's the backup? There's really nothing to help out. This one, Abbas, the only man inside of it, finally dies towards the tail end, and Super picks himself up a double. He's back up to an Earthshatter almost yet again.
Super's having the superior Reinhardt game. There's no doubt about it. He is winning the Rhine games every single time. His charges are a little bit here and there. It might be part of the fact that Superfluke probably hasn't played against Super a whole lot. You do have to try to understand the psychology of the Reinhardt you're playing against. All the top-level Rhines kind of have specific patterns that they like to play. Super goes for another charge, gets the boost as well.
The problem is he's not being punished. Like, he has so much confidence because he's constantly charging Fluke over and over and over again, and he's not getting punished for it. And that is one of the most frustrating things to play against. If you're playing Reinhardt and you do get the counter charge to kind of mitigate each other, but you get pulled down before they do, there's just nothing you can really do in that situation. So maybe Spree needs to be a little bit quicker with the bubbles. Maybe the bio grenades need to be up there a little bit faster. But so far, like, honestly, I've been very impressed with how Super's been playing. Like, the aggression out of him, it's very hard to play that aggressive as a Reinhardt unless you have a team there that you know will back you up.
Well, you're exactly right. They're just not getting the punish there. Slasher, what are you seeing that maybe we're not seeing?
I mean, I think you guys have hit it on it pretty good. I mean, Jake's also playing a great game right now. Him on Roadhog, he has done work the first 2 rounds with him getting kills and making sure that LG is not able to break shields as much. And I think that Spree maybe isn't having as good a game as he wants to. They're going to need him to get these gravitons, to get that energy going.
And we'll open it up in the night market again as the fight commences in the middle there. Superplock does miss his charge, gets slept immediately. The focus so strong on him. He is so low right now. They try to get in the back line to take him down. He does eventually go for a fire strike. A little bit misguided there as it opened himself up to die. Spree grabbed a couple kills, equalized there by Jake. A 4v4 now as this descends into madness.
It's so funny. I feel like Super's forcing Fluke to play a little more aggressive, getting in his head, and when Fluke does that, he just gets bio grenaded almost every time by Rob. Honestly, really well done by him as well to follow up. Spree, you know, Slasher just talked about him not really having the performance he maybe wanted to so far, has been able to pick up about 3 or 4 kills in this initial attack, and I think that's been able to get them the point.
Well, yeah, you can always tell who's having the better game, especially when you're running these mirror matches. Spree with his Graviton just about up. Vol on the other side of things, a mere 33% towards his ultimate, and that is a slow charging ultimate, so Spree's been doing work.
Oh, there's Spree again. There's the garden switch just like he talked about, and the bio grenade catches on Spree. I mean, there's not much more to get excited about that one. We know it's going to be a hands-down, easy 1-5 for Luminosity when you hit those perfect ultimates, and that perfect bio grenade in particular. But, I mean, we can kind of break down, you know, the different comps now, right? We have Ubo on Tracer, so he's played Pharah, he's played Roadhog, now he's on Tracer, where Jake is still maintaining his Roadhog role. So, Hex, you look at this, you know, what's the upside to throwing it, and the downsides, I guess, to throwing this Tracer all of a sudden into the game?
I think the Tracer has got to be to deal with Rob 420, who's had himself a really good game. Sleep darts are coming out fast and furious, so you try to get some pressure on the backline just so that he's not in the perfect position to be healing and nailing these nades all the time. He tries to get on him, but Rob wins that duel one-on-one in the backline as Ube goes down. They're forced to burn this sound barrier as well. A couple of kills, but this should be Hammer finally taking control of the point.
And with Uba dying almost right away in that fight, it means he doesn't have a pulse from any sort of time soon. And Rob, did he just pick up about 3 or 4 kills in that fight?
He's been doing it for most of this game too. Like the last 2 maps, he had great maps as well. His sleep darts, his nades, everything has been on point for him. We have a battle between Epic and Anna's here, and I think that's exactly why Oob went to that. You saw him focus him out, try to get the Anna, and he lost his 1v1 versus an Anna. I play enough Tracer to know that that happens a lot, and it always sucks.
I feel like Anna can pretty much 1v1 anyone in this game until next time. But yeah, no, Ubi is full spawn, right? Now the question comes down to, does he want a chance jumping to the back of him? You can see him on the high ground now to somehow hit a Vast, somehow hit Rob and take him out of the game immediately. He's going to be actually focused out by trades to kind of zone him away here, which kind of forces Icefeld to be a little bit out of position, hoping Ubo is going to come in a little bit earlier on, and Ubo's trying to focus onto Jake here, but with no red kills coming through, just a little bit of damage.
No, he's kind of just he has to wait for the thing to break down a little bit first. I don't think he's going to be the initiating factor here. He's got to wait for his team to get in, and maybe when everyone else is distracted, try to hit that pulse bomb. Sound barrier will come in to initiate. This pulse bomb does go off, takes down Jake in part. They do get grabbed here, and the nade is on him. Not essentially the cleanup there, but there's all with the cleanup, and that is going to be Hammer with the advantage in this fight. This sound barrier should finish off the fight.
I don't know if I want to blame Fluke necessarily, but I'm seeing a lot of bio grenades hit, like offensive bio grenades used by Hammer Esports more than offensive bio grenades out of Luminosity. Like I don't know if that's maybe just me, but I'm not really seeing too many like bio someone and kill them out of Luminosity, which is kind of like the game plan if you can't hit hooks because they obviously didn't have a Roadhog.
Well, there's a charge in from Super right away. He does get the boost. They self-destructing, goes through the back line. Fluke goes down yet again very early on. Super's looking to clean up the remainder of this. That is 3 quick kills from Hammer Esports, and what an apt name for Hammer Esports, as Super's hammer has been the driving force behind them winning a lot of these. Super will reset, jump off. Okay.
It's over. It's pretty much over. It's just Fluke, the last man alive, trying to get on the point here, and he's going to be slept off of that one, and that's going to be a 3-1 victory for Hammer Esports on Lijiang Tower. I can honestly say I did not expect that, but I'm pleasantly surprised.
I mean, it's a heck of a debut for him here to really establish their name. Ube is going to pick up the play of the game, but it was just across the board. They kind of had outplayed, like, mechanical skill. Their Ana played amazing. That was Rob. Super brought a new level of aggression.
I'm sorry, the last kick of Whole Hog, I don't know if you caught that on stream, just like knocked off 2 or 3 people at the end. That was sexy. It really was.
I mean, as Jason mentioned earlier, Luminosity still went 6-6 in their run in the NG playoffs, and they've had trouble against teams. So, you know, it looked like even there, Ube switched into Farah on the second point, didn't really work out too well. Ended up going Tracer, and that last point, I think it was more to counter Jake and to try to just build ult and combo with Spree, but he really wasn't able to make that work either. And, you know, the tank players from Bird Noises, now Hammer Esports, giving them some trouble.
Like, again, I was talking about Super really... I mean, I keep talking about him, right, and him hitting these charges, but it's not just him, it's a team effort. So you have him go in, you have the Zarya shield come on top of him to prevent him from being bio-granted and prevent him from being interrupted. But you also have the speed boost coming in to help him out of Avasha to get there a little bit quicker, and you have the bio-granted out of Rob just to make sure you can focus Super Pluke down. Whenever you saw him get charged into a wall, which you try to generally go for like the shortest distances, so he knew you could hit a bio-granted out of his Ana, that person would die. And it felt like Pluke just didn't have an opportunity to really get comfortable in that game. I don't know. He was just constantly being charged nonstop. And then whenever he would play aggressive to kind of counter the way that Super's being aggressive, he would get bio-granted and still focus down somehow. I'm not sure exactly what's going on in that.
Well, I think they were also losing the shield war. Because Ube was switching off the Farah and a Tracer for at least 2 of those rounds, Roadhog generally is going to help you win the shield war over both of those heroes. And if Super Pluke's going to be losing shield, that gives Super more opportunity to be able to charge in, and then you have the nade come in. And, you know, as you mentioned, this game has really been whoever's more aggressive generally wins in Overwatch. And that has almost stayed true for the entire year plus that the game has been out.
All right, well, we will be moving to Hollywood. Defense for Hammers Esports will be their side of choice. This map choice was, of course, for Luminosity, looking to not go down 0-2 to a relatively unknown team, but perhaps making their mark here in the Alienware monthly melee. It's been odd. Tonight, I think, is the first time I've really seen that every time a Reinhardt drops a shield, just gets naded. Because you can't play the way you want to play Reinhardt when you can't be healed and you can't charge. Your only option at that point is to keep the shield up entirely and start walking back. Which is not fun to do as a Reinhardt. So it's been something I've seen tonight, not only this set, but several different sets, just teams taking advantage of Reinhardt's weakness of not being able to get healed. It's been interesting to watch. Defense, I hope they run something goofy. I kind of really like when these new teams come in and they're not super established in the meta or whatever, and they run whatever they want. I don't think we'll be seeing Bastion, but I would love it.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see it either. I have hope. But no, even the Sombra probably not doing that either.
No.
Yeah, I kind of hope for something a little bit different, but this is something I talked about like a while ago. I think it was during DreamHack, if I'm not mistaken, when we were there casting. The current meta of like triple tank, quad tank, generally is easier to play because of the health pool you're working with. So you can make a mistake, you could be out of position, but you still won't die because you have Ana there to support you and you have so much health to work with. So newer teams, I think, generally will take or adapt into 3 or the quad tank setup just because it's safer. And I don't really expect to see Hammer change too much because this is like their real chance to get some experience and some exposure, right? So they want to play what they're best at and play what they know they could potentially beat Luminosity with, which they've already been able to do so far in Lijiang Tower. But the attack is coming in. We're going to see Luminosity on the attacking side, and on the defense will be Hammer, and again, Super goes for the charge.
He gets slept immediately, though, woken up, and now it is just a melee back and forth. Bloodless thus far as teams reposition themselves on the point. Neither charge hitting early on, so the poke war has begun. Shield war going down, and it looks like Luminosity might want to back out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at where Train's position himself on the high ground. He's going to get quite a bit of damage, but also try to do a little bit more damage. Obviously, the closer you are with D.Va, the more damage you're going to do. But Pluke coming back in, again, supercharges straight in. He has his Zarya shield protected, but look where the Zarya shield out of Spree went. It went onto Ice Belt, so that kind of shows the mindset of where he's going to be shielding to protect his teammates. And Pluke goes down again. It's not necessarily his fault, but you kind of see where Spree's kind of focused. Maybe he's looking for energy versus looking for longevity in the team. I don't know, obviously if you shield Pluke and he gets charged, you still get energy anyways, but
Right.
It's really tough to play Reinhardt in this situation, I feel.
The way they're playing this actually reminds me a little bit of how NIP plays this. And yes, everyone has adopted 4 tanks, but not everyone plays it the exact same way. NIP plays it super aggressive, right? You just buff up your Reinhardt and let him be raid boss, and that's what they're doing every single time. Super gets the shields. It reminds me just what they do with Fraggy.
Oh, Ground's just gonna come through, gonna catch out to 4 people, not to mention the Valkyrie coming right after. Uba's gonna go down. Ice Belt, he's gonna be the student. Spree, not gonna have a chance, your son. And Jake, actually, not Jake, it was Rob. Start on the Pluke in the backlines while he was nano boosted, shuts him down. The team doesn't wake him up, and now they're just gonna delay Ice Belt. Honestly, Hammer Esports, like this is what's so nice to see about North America compared to Europe at the moment. There's just so many of these teams that aren't necessarily heard of or aren't necessarily like one of these top teams, household names that can play to this kind of level, and it's awesome to see.
Yeah, there's something to be said for the meta allowing it, but they're playing the meta. I mean, it's not like they don't have access to the heroes on the other side. The way they're playing it is just so interesting to watch. The ultra aggression is something that I love. Ultimate phase of the game incoming, though. Spree's going to have to make a godly play on the Graviton. He does get everything going, but that is a really nice sound barrier to mitigate a lot of that. Even though they got bio-grenaded, it's going to be very scrappy, but they might be able to pull this back. 3v3 on the point.
Yeah, he didn't really well placed out of him. The Bulls able to pick up a kill. Actually, Earthshatter comes in, only catches on the Ice Belt. They didn't get the decent on Pluke. It's just Spree and Ice Belt load on the point. Now Spree, he's finally going to get some support out of Pluke, but it's still going to be a 2-on-2. The support's going to finally start to come in for the defending side of Hammer Esports, but they're still contested. They still want to fight this one out. They have Mineral the Sound Barrier coming, and Ice Belt did switch to Tracer last second, but went back to D.Va to try to maybe force this one down, but it seems like it's a little bit too late. This will be a defense.
One of the few times that I really will like a solo ult from a Reinhardt there, just to make sure you're going to buy enough time, because it's not only about getting the kill, it's about him staying alive to buy the time for his team. The engaging sound barrier does come down. Ube now onto the Pharah in a desperation point. This is down to the last gasp for Luminosity.
Oh, Super with a great block on the Earthshatter too, and Uba on the high ground. Yeah, he's not really being disrupted too much as Train finally takes him down, but he's just not getting the damage in at the moment. It looks like Raw's been able to just read into where he's been shooting these rockets and heal him for the most part, but he has gone down the fight. But it's going to be another hold. And we're not seeing really much of a change-up besides Uba switching over to the Pharah, who now has his barrage available.
Now 40 seconds left, and you have to play around the Pharah here. That's their last best gasp. I imagine that he's going to get the boost. They're going to try to get a Graviton, and you just hope for the play of your life. No support ultimates up for the defending side as they just burned Sound Barrier, so if they can get that combo going, that they could be able to get some work done here.
Didn't expect that self-destruct to come through, but the charge, it hit on a Super Fluke, so Train takes him down, so they don't have that shield to block them, and not to mention Super gets an easier shutter off on a multiple people. The problem is he's now falling to Uba, who got barrage, or who had the barrage off, who had the nano boost, and Jake pretty much on the point, almost by himself. This Rob's able to come in and a ground just to hold them together. They have nothing to block that self-destruct, and you can say goodnight.
They had to go all in with that. The Pharah and Ana play the barrage. The sustainability for the Pharah is so important for that to get done. And as you mentioned, no shields up means that everyone dies to that self-destruct. And the last gasp of LG finds success as they are able to cap the point in overtime. 2.5 minutes left to push through the second phase. It looks like everyone's going to be sticking on the heroes that they're sticking with. This is an area, though, that I think they might be able to kind of take advantage of the high ground. It's only going to be Train versus Ube up here. This should be an area where Ube can run wild.
Yeah, especially if Ice Belt just kind of protects them and gets to the high ground as well. But then you have to be worried about your well, the rest of your team, the rest of the people on your 4 people on your team to be charged in.
What's Train doing? Train is like a mile in the back lines. No one looks at him. He's able to take down Ube uncontested about 5 feet outside of their spawn. I just don't think that teams are ready for this kind of aggression because, honestly, they look like a terrible play, and then he turned it into something, and now they got 4 kills.
So, they didn't use a single ultimate. They built up almost 3 other ones, and they forced...
Yeah. And their D.Va dived in between 4 people, took down the Pharah, and then got out safely.
They were even like split spawned a little bit too, so that's a little bit odd. But again, the aggression you pointed out, and there's another hook coming through.
It's absolutely unfettered aggression. The whole hog does come down. Ubi takes down Vol in the meantime, but Jake's whole hog getting some work done here. They are going to charge in Super as well. Does get the Ana boost. It's just Ube on this point now with Icefell. They are both trying to actually keep some damage going. They do end up taking out Jake in the meantime, but as a desuited Icefell who will be slept, napped on top of the limo before he is eliminated. They are just not giving up an inch of ground for free. I love this when teams just refuse to give you a foot for anything. And they have the ultimate advantage now too, does Hammers. It's going to be one last fight, and a fight they should win by the map.
Hopefully it comes down, I think, Reinhardt v. Reinhardt, who can block that Earth Shatter. If you can somehow land it on a Super Fluke, your Super, that's an easy self-destruct coming through, not to mention the ground surge there to facilitate it. And a huge Bio Grenade comes in towards the back line. The self-destruct can be thrown in. No one's going to be taken down from this one, no, but that's Icefell now out of position. He's going to be forced off the payload.
Yeah, it did make them all back out of there. That's a very huge zoning self-destructor. Superflip does get this boost in. Here comes a self-destruct of their own onto Super. It's going to crack his shield. Opens things up for Fluke to get an Earth Shatter, but he's slept on top of the card.
That's not good for him. I mean, he's at least going to keep some point of contention in the meantime, but the rest of his teammates have gone down. That's going to be a good Earth Shatter coming out of this map. He has no HP left. Jake takes it out with the whole hog yet again coming back up, and we're about to hit overtime.
It was moments away from them hitting an enormous Earth Shatter. Icefeld still doing what he can on this card. It is 2v2. They should be able to keep this going as they've got the numbers and the bodies there to keep it in contention. It's going to be an overtime ride now for Luminosity. That sleep dart was absolutely clutch because that self-destruct broke his shield. You had a supercharged and angry Pluke about to lay down the hammer, then he took a nap on the limo instead.
Honestly, Rob, I'm highly impressed with this man on his end. He's simply played perfectly well here. But now the problem comes in for Hammer. They don't really have a lot of ultimates to work with. All they're going to have is that nano boost and maybe a self-destruct coming up soon. But with Rob already down, I don't know if they can hold this point. I think this
Look at that nade though. That nade has everyone so low and trying to get healed up. They're able to do enough damage that everyone retreats off the cart. You really can't let that happen when you have 4 alive and the cart gets stopped because you're not on it. But everyone was really low, about to get cleaned up there too.
You hate to see that happen.
Yeah. Slasher, who are you
Because
impressed
it shouldn't be happening for professional players playing Overwatch. Money to get paid a lot of money to play the game. At least have everybody die on the cart. It is not worse than not being on the cart and then the game ending. But really, you've got to give it to Hammers Esports for almost full holding on first point, for playing so aggressive on second point, and they're just playing a better game right now. They have better teamwork. They have better ult usage in general, even though I think that LG has had maybe a little bit better combinations of their ults. The Hammers Esports team have been just conserving them better to be able to win the long game.
It's just an amount of surprising aggression out of them. Some of the plays that you just don't understand, but it's just in their ethos of like, let's just be as aggressive as possible. And as a team like LG who scrims, you know, as standard teams, probably standard play more often, it can really catch you off guard. And I think they need to play in a manner which they start punishing this aggression, because the biggest thing is this aggression has gone absolutely unpunished, mostly just rewarded. They're putting players in bad positions, but they're not dying for it. And that's how you get them to stop being aggressive, is you punish these 1v4 dives, and they haven't done it.
I'm actually interested, Slasher. Like, do you know Luminosity of being more of a slow reactive team where they'll react to the way you're attacking them, or are they normally an aggressive team? Because we haven't seen really any aggression out of them in general this entire series.
I mean, no, it feels like maybe they're playing a little bit thrown off balance, and I think a part of this is because of how aggressive Super has been, and the support that Vol was giving him and always shielding him to be aggressive and try to win those shield wars that maybe Pluke isn't used to having that type of pushback lately.
Well, they are going to run a Symmetry here, so of course the first fight gains that much more value for the defense, especially trying to get those teleporters or shields up as well. It gets a little bit of free poke from these sentries, something a lot of Symmetrists have been doing lately with all the 6 turrets. You're able to get that free poke early on, already about 25%. It looks like Luminosity is going to just hold on to the point. We'll see which angle that Hammers wants to go with. They're going with this sneaky Roadhog flank. Gets the hook on a Mineral. That is a huge first kill from Jake.
Oh, that's a little bit of a facepalm moment there, but again, it's hard to kind of expect that we don't have anything to spot him out. Jake will get slept towards the backside, but Super Fluke has been able to take down Super. We're charging each other. Rob is not really being attacked much, going forward towards the left-hand side, at least my screen here, on the other side of the payload. And somehow, with Rob not being contested, all he's doing so much free hero, so much free damage, that they've already lost 2 people. Luminosity, they're not even going to have a chance to hold this first point.
Jake got slept and no one did anything about it. He woke up and hit another hook, just had a brief pause in time there. And even though, I mean, losing Mineral early hurts, right? When you're running Symmetra like that, you need to win that first fight. You cannot lose your Symmetra early. The damage output that she can provide, even the shielding she can provide, is too big. That flanking hook from Jake was absolutely the winning move of that fight, and they're in great position now. 5 minutes left to get to about halfway through the Streets phase. Yellow box of victory, about 2/3 the way through here.
Well, now we're going to see Luminosity try to poise for position like we did see Hammer do on the defense here. They do have an Earthshatter Super Fluke, so they have that to their advantage, but Super Bucket is up as well. And the problem is, if you're going to charge to Reinhardt here, you can't charge straight, you have to charge for the side, but that's Fluke taking advantage of the position, and the Super gets a great Earthshatter down, but the kills, there's nothing off the back of this.
Well, they are able to finally clean up a couple, but that is Super and Train changing it around for them. The Earthshatter was good, but the kills didn't come in time. They were too late. It took them way too long to capitalize on the 4 people on the ground, unable to do so. Super stays alive, and we've seen him just crush time after time, and they're going to have their own Earthshatter up for this next push, looking to close out this map and this set.
This is really tough here too, because the positioning and the way you can use D.Va in this phase alone, because of the high ground you can use, because the way you can bomb it behind the enemy team, the support. If you're Mineral Hida, you have to stay alive here, and it's so hard to do against a team who has a smart D.Va and knows where to position that self-destruct.
They're going to give up some space here. They're going to open up some space for their own self-destruct. Here comes the sound barrier on the offensive side. Earthshatter doesn't hit a whole lot. That is Super blocked with the last gasp, the only remaining member on the cart trying to get something done. Rob does go down to the self-destruct, but it's Super being burned down. All the numbers in favor of Hammers Esports and JCap. I want to call this an upset. It's got to be an upset, right? No one's.
It has to be an upset. It has to be an upset. I mean, Luminosity, they're going to Pack South to play in the NGE tournament. I don't know. That was just honestly great to see. It really was. Like, even Heat on there towards the end, he went into the saloon and he tried to hit a sleep dart onto Jake to stop him from being really impactful, but Jake just kind of didn't get hit by it, and he kind of was out of position then and had to run back and just kind of like give or take there. But at the same kind of side of the coin is that you have to make something happen if you're in that situation, right? Like, they had 4 or 5 minutes of time to push through to the end. You kind of have to go something big. Unfortunately, it worked out for them.
Well, welcome to Overwatch Hammers Esports. I think, you know, it's an upset regardless of how they won, but the manner in which they won this game is, I'm still shocked by it. Slasher, what do you think?
Yeah, it was very convincing, the whole series, and they kind of got crushed there, LG did, on Hollywood. Hammers played really well in this meta. They're playing 4 tanks fantastically. They're rating Super V very aggressive, as I mentioned a few times in this series. And I think Jake has played really well. They have their Ana Rob, who's also played very well on both his nades and his healing. And LG looks like they still have some problems. Sometimes I feel like it might be shot calling issues in these games. Sometimes it's supports dying early on in the fights a lot of the time. I mean, Mineral dies with Symmetra early on in Hollywood, and you're pretty much going to lose the point. Not only that, but because you played Symmetra and the risk of you playing, they never got Lucio ult throughout the second phase, and then you had Hammers had ult advantage through the entire second phase. And I mean, LG, yeah, they're going to the playoffs next weekend, but they're still losing convincing fashion to these teams. I think they will be helped a little bit by the meta, especially as we talk about Iceland coming from DPS background. And Ube too, I think it'll be good for them.
Well, yeah, so everyone, go ahead.
I actually had 2 questions for us 3 here. Like, I had Hammers probably being the weakest team actually in Group B. I don't know if I'm the only one in that one. I mean, obviously after this game, your opinion might have changed, but before this game, were you guys in the same boat?
Well, you kind of have to be, right? They don't have results against any of these upper level teams. They, you know, like I said, they took the path that you have to take. You just dominate everyone below you. You beat everyone in front of you, and eventually you get an invite to something like this. And no, but I was surprised that we were going to put them on stream, to be honest. I mean, generally, like the early times, you got to beat someone to be on stream, and then. Yeah, I'm stunned by it. I'm actually just absolutely stunned by it. And good for across the board, though. I mean, we mentioned specific names here and there, but no one on that team had a bad game. You know, look at guys like Vol, and Vol also played a really nice Zarya there too. So across the board, they really showed up. And I think everyone watching this stream even is lying if they say they expected Hammers to come out and do what they just did to LG.
So, Slasher, a question. All right, do you have something to say about that? Because I have a question that goes on to this about that.
Yeah, sure, hit me.
Okay. All right. So my other question was, we're talking obviously a lot about like the new patch coming out next week, on the 24th. We're talking about the meta that's going to spring off the back of that with the 222s, the trip tank, the quad tank even, or the triple DPS. From what I've gotten from Hammer when talking to Vol, they don't necessarily have a huge hero pool from what he's told me. Do you think the meta is negatively going to hurt them to a very large extent then when that patch comes out, because the fact that they don't really have as deep a pool as maybe other teams?
I think Hammers gets hit negatively. I think they are one of the teams that gets hit negatively just because they don't have the, so to speak, star DPS player standout that maybe even the other teams in this group. We have Liquid, who has AZK and ID more so on projectiles like Pharah, and they've been playing. Liquid's been playing quad tanks through the entirety of the NG playoffs and for a long time in these tournaments. And Splice, who have three new players in Adatonian and Graceful, among others, they've also been playing tank style. So I think actually these are all the ones that would be better, and Hammers is the team that gets hurt a little bit.
I think it could depend on who on their team has limited pools, because I think you can probably always use a good Reinhardt. You can always use a good Zarya. Zarya's been in the meta since the beginning of time. Yep. You could always use good supports. If Ana takes a really big hit, I think that hurts them a lot, right? Because Rob just had a phenomenal game on Ana, like top tier Ana game. So it really depends on who on their team isn't capable of flexing. But, when you have rock solid tank play, you can build around that a little bit. And even Jake played really well on the Roadhog too. So it really depends on who is the players on their team with the weak pools. But I would tend to agree that as the meta shifts a little bit away from quad tank, then the higher skill ceiling heroes and the players who are very good at them will rise to the top again.
What if I also told you I don't think that Splice is that great of a team, and Liquid was also tied 6-6 and missed out on the playoffs against Luminosity, and that all these teams aren't that great right now? We're talking about a region of North America, which let me tell you guys, not huge fan of winning championships. So really, Hammers coming in and winning? Sure. Why not? Why don't they win the group?
A lot of those questions will be answered in our next match coming up on stream. I'm going to take another little break, and I really do need time to recover from what I just saw. It is going to be Hammers versus aforementioned Team Liquid. ZP and JCap will bring you that one. We're going to take a short break while we set that up, but tune in. Be right back with the Alienware Monthly Melee of January.